That Time the Humans Killed with Kindness by Captain Candy. The council was going as smoothly, but as boring as ever. Some minor reprimands to council races for looting some small, barely space-ready species. The economic reports and the adjustments in intergalactic law that needed to be made to keep everything stable. Old laws were reviewed, and some were repealed due to being out of date and preventing new growth. Document after document passed my desk, and I was utterly and completely bored with it. That's when I got a fun idea and sent a document over to one of the newer races, a rather warlike race to boot. Within minutes, the entire council chamber was a crescendo of groans, annoyed murmurs, and a few shouts of, "Not this again!" An evil smile crept up my face as my plan had succeeded. I just sent over some documents about the humans, and the new race wanted to go to war rather swiftly. I watched from my place as the head counselor let out a deep breath and hit her head a few times on her desk to vent. It was always fun listening to stories of the humans/Terrans, or whatever name they gave themselves for this century. The humans aren't a part of the council. They have never officially had a war with any galactic power, are economically inconsequential, and are behind by at least 3 generations in technology, publicly anyway. I've done this a few times now, sending the information of the humans to economic trade races who will then want to buy out the humans. I've sent it to some of the more lavish races that have been wanting new slaves who seek to conquer the humans. I've sent it to many different races and heard many stories. As it turns out, this so-called minor race is a sleeping giant that the Galactic Council has woken up by accident a few times. Now, anything even remotely related to humans is dismissed, unless it is to try and make friends with them on the behalf of a particular species. I've never gotten a human war story, though, so I sit up a little more to hear the head counselor clearly. Councillor Kef, your race has joined this council only within the last year, and so it can be forgiven that you do not know. Your people are warlike, and so it's reasonable that you would want to find species to war with. According to the regulations, of course. This council, however, will have to recommend on the strongest of terms that you do so with any race in the galaxy, but not the humans. They have never officially declared a war. No, they have never needed to, is the problem. We once tried to sanction them economically to force them into the council, but what we didn't realize at the time was that the humans' foodstuffs had spread galaxy-wide. They were an economic titan in disguise. In response to our actions, they sent the entire galaxy into an economic depression. A full 30% of the galaxy's population starved in those decades until we gave in to human demands. But you seek war, so I will tell you why that is a bad idea. No, the worst idea you can imagine. Let me tell you about the time the humans used kindness as their weapon. We once had a member species, the Halem. They were a species that sought to pacify and bring peace to the entire galaxy. They were the species who found the humans, in fact. And when they saw the wars and other conditions on Earth, they were horrified and appalled. They set out to disable human weapons and gifted them medicine and life extension treatments, allowing them to live for thousands of years. The humans were grateful for this and did unify, but some of the Halem policies were against human ideology. The Halem wanted to control the human population, keeping it no larger than 100 billion at any given time. There was no malevolence here. It was a measure to ensure quality of life for every living human. The Halem had, after all, limited their own population to 300 billion members, and only allowed it to be that high because of the number of systems they owned and used for farming and such. But still, the humans lashed out at this idea. Once they had the ability to keep everyone fed, housed, and happy, they decided that more children sounded like a pretty good idea. The Halem, of course, didn't ever kill a single human, but they did in their longevity treatment make it so there was essentially an on-off switch to human reproductive abilities. Here I should note, there are 3 things you never take from humans. You never try to take their weapons, you never try to take their intoxicants, and you never try to take away their ability to reproduce. I mean, if the Halem had simply made it so humans couldn't get pregnant, it would have been fine. But they altogether decided to essentially turn off the human reproductive organs. When the humans learned they couldn't even enjoy the act of reproduction, it did not go over well. When the Halem then tried to get the humans to give up all of their weapons, personal or military, it went even worse. But this is of course a story of how the humans killed with kindness, so let's get to that, shall we? So the Halem made all of these mistakes, and humans were rightfully angry, but what was the response of the people who had fought for most of their existence? It was a polite smile and total compliance. If you know anything about the humans, this should scare the excrement out of you. The humans, after agreeing and going along with everything, waited decades and later got several new star systems. Once they had these, they began to farm, mine, and advance at outlandish rates. You think the humans have technology behind our own? Wrong. They just like living simply. They are, as a matter of fact, generations ahead of us all. Using this advanced technology and this overabundance of food and materials, the humans made a deal with the Halem. The humans, as thanks for everything the Halem had done for them, wanted to take over the mantle of the peacebringers for the galaxy. They told the Halem that they had been doing it for millennia and that it was time for them to retire. The Halem, over the last few decades, having seen the compliant humans and seeing how much they changed from their old ways, agreed with them. So, the humans built the Halem a utopia. Every wish they could have would be granted before they could speak it. They would always have food, shelter, entertainment, and whatever else they desired. After only a single year, it became apparent that this utopia was a special form of hell. The Halem, exposed to every stimulus or desire they had before they could voice it, eventually grew bored of all of it. With this boredom, they sought to pursue things they felt inspired them in their lives before the utopia. For a time this worked, and the Halem people were happy and lived full lives. But eventually, it fell apart. The Halem grew bored of everything they did after a span of only a single decade. With this boredom came apathy and a loss of purpose. The Halem lost sight of their original goal as a species, but at the same time grew lazy and reliant. By the time people were voicing their concerns that they should go back out to try and bring peace to the galaxy again, it was too late. The rare few who voiced this idea were utterly drowned out by those who said to simply let the humans do it, while they enjoy retirement. They no longer wanted to do what once gave them a sense of purpose. This led to a slow decline in birth rates, as the Halem grew bored even of the act of having offspring. From there, in 3 short generations, the Halem were all living on a single planet, sent there by humanity to manage the population crisis, and attempt to allow the Halem to have more offspring if they were all centralized. 2 more generations is all it took, and the Halem were doomed to extinction due to lack of genetic diversity. The humans who observed and watched this the whole time cheered across all of their worlds with all 1 trillion members of their species as the last Halem died off. Humanity never used weapons, they never fired a shot, nor even built a single warship. They exterminated an entire class, 1.7 species, with kindness as a weapon. Even we, the Council, could not intervene. The humans were making every effort, at least on paper, to fix the Halem's problems as they arose. The Halem chose to retire, and we couldn't push them against their will, not to. It was a species-wide choice after all. There was no aggression to intervene in, no crisis that the humans weren't already handling, and no way the Council could help or stop any of this. So Councillor Kef, if the humans can do all of that and not fire a single shot, using only kindness as a weapon, what do you think they could do with their weapons? Like and subscribe for more content.